All right, going live today. I need to clean a few things up before I get started. I made a mess earlier doing some stuff, but I'm going to go ahead and get these coffee beans going. Got on the screen, I should have my beans that I'm roasting here. I'll change the scenes here in a second. Hold on, let me turn this volume down over here. Just was monitoring my scene here to make sure. It'll be a 20-second delay to get that fixed. Just watching the screen here to see if that fixes or not. Should have fixed my problem though. Oh, it did. All right. Something, I don't know if that camera overheated or what. I don't know what happened there. This camera's been on for a while because I was having a problem with one of my cameras, but that's kind of par for the course for me. Always something technical happening. Anyways, yeah, I was off for a couple weeks. You know, I do a lot more than just roast coffee. So I wanted to talk about, you know, it's the strangest thing, you know, when I talk about this, when I do this coffee roasting, that you have to monitor the roaster. And last weekend, I did not do that. And you know what? I stand here and I watch the roaster and nothing ever happens. Everything goes great. And then I am not watching the camera and I'm not watching the roast, I mean. And all of a sudden, I hear this weird noise coming from, you know, the roaster as I was inside doing something just really quick, stepped away for just a minute or two. I just started the roast and everything like that. It had only been running for maybe 3 minutes. Everything was going good. And I went inside and I just heard this grinding noise. And I was like, what the heck is that? I run out here and the drum had come off of the rollers over here. And it was the craziest thing because I've seen it happen like once before, and I'm not even quite sure why it happened. I don't know quite how long it was sitting there like that. That's why I say when you do this roasting, you have to watch the roaster. It's always when you walk away, something happens. I stand here and I do live roasting all the time, and I don't watch. Man, this screen is really dark here. I can't even really see what's going on. I watch this thing and it is just crazy how nothing ever happens. And then I do one time, I walk away for a few minutes and something happens. So just the word here, when you do this setup and you do the roasting, you've got to monitor, you know, the situation. Something always happens. So I have my beans up on the screen that I'm running here. I got an Ethiopia, and it's got the description there, and then also the Peru. I just grabbed 2 bags. I've talked to you before about how I am subscribed to Sweet Maria's. I get 8 pounds every 2 months shipped to me. My last shipment came just as I had already run out and I was getting ready to roast that week. It actually showed up the week I needed to roast. I roast every Sunday, and I roast 2 pounds. So I have 2 pounds in the roaster right now. I have my thermometer going. I don't know how well that is working. It seems like it's jumping around already. So, you know, I've said this before, it seems like ever since I got this new thermocouple for this thermometer, I've just had nothing but problems with it. So, I've been doing this long enough to where I know just by the way it looks. My last few roasts have been really good. In fact, I think it was last roast I actually did my espresso roast. So I did 2 batches of 2 pounds. I did a really dark roast of, I believe I used Colombian beans. It's just something I buy in bulk. I get it off of Amazon. I had ordered it. It was like 5 pounds, and I had ordered it before because I ran out, and it was just kind of my backup bag that I had in case I run out of beans or whatever. It's just kind of something I had ordered. It's not any cheaper to get it on Amazon. In fact, it's actually a little more expensive. But what you can do when you order on Amazon is, you know, you can find a blend that you like. I mean, there's all kinds of different places where you can get green beans. I just choose Sweet Maria's. So because I choose Sweet Maria's, that's just where I get my stuff from. I get nothing. There's no kickback. I don't mention them because I get any kind of discount or anything like that. I don't. All the live videos I do, hang on one second. Well, I'm just doing a little live video. Can you give me 10 minutes? 15 minutes? Yeah. Okay. Okay. It's my neighbor Wilson. He loves it when I do coffee roasting. But I'm helping him with his yard too. And I know he's got a couple projects going on over there. So I've been helping him with his grass and his backyard. He wants to plant some more grass in his backyard. So I help Wilson out all the time with doing stuff. Like I was saying with thermocouple, whatever on that, as far as the Colombian goes and Amazon and ordering beans, you know, you can get them wherever you want to get them when you do your roasting. I've talked about you can start out with a popcorn popper, which is really nice to start and try out. The only problem with doing a popcorn popper is you have to hand crank it, and this takes like 15 or 20 minutes. It just depends on how hot your roast is going. In fact, I'm just trying to speed this up a little bit to get her done. I've got a few other things to do. You know, it's Father's Day and all that, so we got to go to dinner tonight over at our son's, you know, in-laws. So we hang out with them a lot. So they're good people, but they're cooking tonight because they got some stuff going on over there. So I got a few things I need to do before I head over there. So, but I have to roast coffee, and so that's what I'm doing. But back to the popcorn popper. You know, you can start really cheap. Popcorn popper, I know you can get it on Sweet Maria's. You can probably get it on Amazon. It's the Orville Redenbacher popcorn popper. It's just a pot with a handle on it, and it's got a hand crank in it. It's just basically got a little stir thing down at the bottom where it will stir the beans up. The only problem with using the Orville Redenbacher, to use one of these thermometers for the temperature, you kind of got to pry open the hole a little bit there's like a little venting hole on top of the lid. You got to use a screwdriver and pry it open a little bit to get your thermocouple wire to go down in there. I know you probably can't see this right here, but the thermocouple wire that's going off of the thermometer, and you want to stick that down in so that it gets almost to the bottom, not quite all the way to the bottom, but just enough to hit the beans, top of the beans. There's a shot of the beans close up. The thing I like about this roaster, I didn't check this week to see if this was available on Amazon again. This is where I get it, just because Amazon's easiest for most people to just search and find it. But you know, it's called a peanut roaster, coffee roaster. I searched coffee roaster and this pops up if it's available. It does go out of stock a lot, but it's about $140 for this model right here. There's a cheaper basket model that you can get also on Amazon. That's kind of the same principle. It has a motor and everything like that, but it's a basket, so it's like a wire basket, and it's more open and it's more exposed to the flame, so it's easier to burn the beans with that. If you have the flame too high, you're not watching it, it goes too long, that sort of stuff. So you do have to monitor it a little bit closer, especially once it gets to that roasting point. So those are the three types of roasters I recommend to start out with. You know, there's all kinds of ways you can roast. They have the electric ones, you know, that you can roast with. The only thing I suggest when you do coffee roasting is to do it outdoors, because in a few minutes this stuff is going to start smoking, and the chaff is going to start coming out of the vents in the roaster here, and it's going to make a mess. So that's why I suggest you do it outdoors. I do it in the garage when it rains. I live in Western Washington, so it rains a lot out here. Maybe you don't know that, but it does, especially in the, you know, fall, winter, and spring. Summertime, not so much. So I do it in the garage with the garage door open, and, you know, everything kind of at the front there, so it vents pretty well. Because this is going to get really smoky and really, the chaff is just the flakes of the beans that are coming off as the beans are expanding during the roast. That's basically what's happening here when you're roasting, is you're kind of, you know, cooking the moisture out of the bean, and as that happens, it starts expanding. And then what's going to happen here is when it gets, you know, to about 415 degrees, it's going to start doing its second crack, maybe about 410. It's going to start doing its second crack, which is just that point where it's kind of like the popcorn, you know, popping and stuff like that. It's just the beans don't, you know, pop like popcorn, but it's basically the moisture that's just evaporating very rapidly and you know, creating a cracking sound as the bean is kind of expanding. So I got a few things blowing around out here. The wind's kind of picked up a little bit. So let's see here, I'm getting lost in my cameras. So for the after process, I have the colanders here. I have two of them, one for each pound. And then I have a fan here. It's a cyclone fan, and it's turned upward, so it's blowing up. And we're going to use this to not only cool the bean, but we're also going to use this to remove the chaff from the bean when this is done roasting. So I can kind of sit here and talk and know that the beans aren't quite ready because of the sound. You know, once it gets to its first crack, I'm going to know we're getting close to the beans being ready, because it's going to go from the first crack to the second crack fairly quickly. I mean, it really just depends. I don't know. It seems weird that its temperature is not rising so quickly. I'm going to adjust the flame here. See if that helps. So I haven't talked about the burner. I talk about these things, you know, every live that I do. The burner it's just a basic, you know, campfire burner. Let's see here. This is a high pressure burner, so that means that it pumps out a higher BTU than a normal campfire burner. Got a red knob on it, so it does put out a higher BTU. So it's basically just called a high pressure grill, something like that. It's propane. It runs on propane, and it's just high pressure. You can get either one. You can get a regular one or a high pressure one. It doesn't really matter. I have a high pressure one. This is like the turkey fryer type. It just, you know, puts out a much hotter flame to keep like a turkey fryer at temperature and stuff like that, or the temperature not drop as fall when you put your turkey in, and it kind of gets it back up to that temperature a little bit quicker. So propane, I just go and get the propane I do the exchange at Home Depot or Lowe's, whatever, you know, you got around, where you can do an exchange. It's just easy because you can just take your tank there, drop it off, and just grab a new tank. I used to go to the gas station where they had propane and I would have them fill it. But I stopped doing that because it was just a waste of time, because you go there, you got to wait, somebody's got to come out, they got to fill it, they got to do the whole thing. And 20 minutes later, you know, you've got, you know, your propane. And so I just found that it's just quicker and easier just to do the exchange really quick. So we're at 400 degrees. And things are starting to crack now. So kind of at that first crack moment. I'm just kind of, yeah, there it goes. What it did before. I think my bearings are starting to go on this thing. Let me turn this off. This is exactly what happened last time it came off. So this is not good. Try to get this started as quick as possible. So, let's see here. What's happening is the bearing, there's some bearings right over here, and sometimes it doesn't seem like it's, I'm gonna have to light the burner again. So that's what happened when I was roasting and I'd walked inside. It does not normally do that. It just started doing this. So I wasn't paying attention to see what actually happened. Because this is a really simple setup. It's just a motor with a gear on it, driving a gear up here. And then this end sits on two bearings over here that are basically rolling as this comes out. And what I noticed is the heat kind of affects those bearings. They're just some cheap bearings. And then there's also two bolts and screws that are holding the bearings right here. And I've actually seen them tighten up and come loose. I've had this thing for like 2 years. So now I got to get everything back up to temperature. And it seems like it's been making a weird noise too, so I don't know. Oh, there's also two bearings over here, and that's the problem. One of the bearings has come loose over here and it's sitting down. I've actually messed with these a couple of times. I didn't used to have a problem with this. So let me change it back over here. But there's two bearings that sit right here where the gear and the motor are. And like right now, it's not even hitting on that. It's not even resting on the bearings right now. So I'm gonna have to tighten those up. It's just a bolt that holds two bearings on. And with this rotating here, I've noticed it's kind of loosens those nuts and bolts there. Okay, so we're at 421. I'm going to put her just on a multi here, and I am going to get ready to shut it down because we're at 425 now. And I'm going to shut it off at 430. All right, right there. I'm going to let it go for just a couple seconds extra. Thought I had my pliers out here, but I don't. Let me put these gloves on here. Sorry. Probably moves that out of position there. These gloves just make it so I can take this off, open the door. Okay, looks like we didn't do any damage to the beam. All right, so this is a really good medium roast that I got going here. That's why I stopped it at 430. 430 seems to be like the sweet spot for roasts. I could take this off here and I can show you what I'm talking about these while this kind of cools a little bit. Get the chafe out of here. Let me put the camera on over here so maybe you could see the chafe coming out a little bit better. This one right here. Got a white shirt on, so maybe that'll help. So it's good and bad doing this on a windy day because the wind does help with the chafe. When it blows out, it kind of, if it's blowing across, it will blow it because the chafe is so light. It's just, you know, just the dried skin from the outside of the beam. And that's all we're trying to do right here is just remove as much of that as possible. And we're cooling the beams at the same time. So maybe you can see that from that view right there. So I believe that's the camera I have it on. There's your final product. This looks so nice and even. You know, even though the rum had fallen off of the thing there and it was stuck and it was hot. I mean, I've got a couple that are a little bit darker, but nothing's burnt. It smells really good. And it did not smell like it was burning when it was sitting there. Yeah, see, there's a few beans that are just a little darker, like this one right here. Give a little extra flavor. And sometimes when you mix two batches together, two different types of coffee, you'll get one that roasts a little faster than the other. So one might be a little darker than the other. And then another thing you can do too is you can roast each pound, or you can, if you're doing a pound at a time, you can separate it and do a half a pound of one and then do a half pound of another, and you can roast it at two different temperatures and blend it together. Or you can roast it at two different temperatures and you can try the flavor of each one. That's the great thing about coffee roasting. You can sit here and you can play with it a little bit and you can find what you like, what's your comfort zone, maybe which bean you like. I mean, I like just getting the sample pack and sampling all the different beans and having just something different every 2 weeks, get a little different flavor profile. I've never had something I didn't like. But you will notice it's just a little bit different in flavor. Sometimes you get something that maybe is a little more woody, something that's a little more fruity, and something that's maybe a little more chocolatey and nutty. And those are the kinds of things where, you just note down what bean you were roasting, what you like, what you didn't like, the temperatures you did it at. You could start at about 425 for a little bit lighter roast, and then go all the way up to 450, 460. And you could taste all the different flavor profiles that you get at all the different temperatures. And I only do the live roasting because I just like doing live videos. I like setting them up and doing all that. And I like doing this live just because I just enjoy the production part of it. I don't really care about doing YouTube so much as, I feel like this will help somebody, spark their interest into doing it. It's pretty cheap to get into. It might cost you about $250 to get a setup like this right here with the burner, the propane, the colanders, a fan, all those sorts of things. It'd be about $250 to get set up on it. And you're not really necessarily saving any money and roasting it yourself. But what you can do is you can work up your own flavor profile that you like. Like I said, I make an espresso for my espresso machine because I drink coffee with 2 shots of espresso in it when I go to work. And that's just what I like. On the weekends, I don't necessarily do that. I just drink the regular coffee with no extra shots. But you can also do that for your espresso if you like making your own espresso. You can try different flavor profiles and different types of beans and things like that. So that's my process of doing this. I'm going to switch this over and show you the rollers real quick that I'm talking about here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So right here, see, these came loose. These are supposed to be tight. There's a nut over here on this side. And it probably just needs maybe a new bearing, like the bearings aren't spinning as well. It gets hot over here. These bearings probably wore out. And then what happens is they catch and they start turning the screw, and then everything comes loose. So then on this side here, you got the same thing. You got some bearings over here that spin. I feel like these don't spin very well. You know, it should be tight and it should spin pretty good. So, and see, when I turned it, it turned the whole thing. So I have a feeling I really need to replace these bearings right here. And like I said, it just gets really hot in here because of the heat from the burner. Maybe if I wasn't, you know, at such a high temperature, it wouldn't do that. But anyway, so that was all it took. Just tighten those right there. And then the drum will sit on here a little bit better. And this explains why it fell off earlier. So that's coffee roasting for you. So that'll end it for this week's coffee roast. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope it sparks your interest into trying it yourself sometime. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and shut her down. Have a great day.